It is 5 o'clock. We're going to call the meeting to order. Declaration of a quorum, 6 members present. Moves us to item 3, public comments. Is there any? No cards. So that will move us to item 4, workshop. Item number 1, consideration, discussion, and possible action related to setting a date for the next management oversight workshop to discuss transportation. I think since Mr. Ben's going to be a few minutes late, why don't we move to item 2, and we'll circle back around to item 1. Item 2, consideration, discussion, and possible action related to the Texas Association of School Boards Policy Update number 115. Mr. Martindale.
Thank you, Mr. Schaefer and board members. Last month, you recall, Ms. Perry went through Policy Update 115 with you, also has provided information in transmittal through the course of the last month as well. So she's here to answer any lingering questions on this particular update. It is an action item at our regular meeting later this evening. So, Ms. Perry, field any questions or a brief update?
Absolutely, Mr. Martindale. In your Friday transmittal, you received an updated copy.
Thank you.
Thank you. In your Friday transmittal, you received an updated copy of both the legal updates as well as the local recommendations for adoption with Update 115. We have not made any additional recommendations for changes since our workshop in August, but I would be happy to answer any questions or have any conversations surrounding the proposed changes to Update 115.
Mr. Hyack, you have any?
I do not at this moment.
Okay.
Double checking.
You're good, Mr. Horak?
Good.
Excellent.
Thank
Okay.
you.
So we'll vote on that during the regular meeting, right? If
Correct.
there's-
It's a consent agenda item.
Okay. We'll move to item 3, consideration and discussion related to pre-AP courses for the 2021 and 22 school year and beyond. Mr. Martindale.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Schaefer. This, and it says consideration and discussion. There is no action associated with this item this evening. Dr. Trammell, our Chief Administrative Officer, is here to bring us up to speed on the changes associated with pre-AP course offerings in the curriculum. So again, no action associated with this, and this conversation is relative to 21-22. Nothing in the near future, but need to kind of review this information in case there are changes that need to be considered or approved by the board, that we can manage those through the course of this fall. So as we prepare course catalogs for 21-22 in December, we're prepared to make any adjustments that we might need to, if any, at that time. So, Dr. Trammell?
All right. Just wanted to give you a brief report on the changes in pre-AP and where we are as a district with what the College Board has established as the new parameters. In 2018-19, the College Board changed the pre-AP designation criteria and said that districts must pay a fee and follow their curriculum, in this case a curriculum framework, to give a course the pre-AP designation. Then in 2019, they released an application process to pilot specifically some of the assessments. They have what they call learning checkpoints. There are 8 of them in each and every unit. We use that as a formative assessment would be what we would call that. And then there are 4 performance tasks. And you must do one of the checks and all 4 of the performance tasks for each and every unit in each and every course. Then this year was their national launch and the beginning of course audits. So they have a set framework that they would like for you to follow. You are allowed to follow their framework and submit things to them for approval, revision, that kind of thing before you would be allowed to take a course and have it designated as pre-AP, so to speak. They have to bless everything, and everything has to be aligned to what they feel is most important. And then this coming summer in 2021, teachers will actually be trained. Each district that chooses to be a pre-AP or to have pre-AP courses gets a certain number of spots, and then you would pay $495 per teacher for the remaining teachers that needed to be trained. So a little bit about how it works. The courses are designed to deliver grade level appropriate instruction. They are designed to support all students across varying levels of abilities through focus. And what that means is they choose certain things that they feel are most important, and you spend time on those things taking a deep dive. So you focus in on what they feel is most important. The courses are grade level appropriate, and they are not what we would consider honors or advanced. Students learn more deeply by spending time on the topics and skills that matter the most, and as I said, according to their beliefs and philosophy. All students are able to achieve success and mastery of grade level appropriate material. And the primary reason they feel that this is attainable would be that you spend longer on fewer learning objectives. And then the courses it's mandated that the courses are open to all with no barriers. So if we chose to offer pre-AP courses in our district, we could not say, if your teacher doesn't recommend you, you have to, get something signed or anything like that. So that is one of the stipulations that they have put in writing. There are certain exceptions with some special needs that are allowed, but in general, there are no barriers allowed to enrollment. There are essentially 4 components to their curriculum or program. There's the course framework that is non-negotiable, you must follow. There are instructional resources that they recommend. One of them, one of the primary resources is Springboard. I will tell you that we have boxes and boxes of Springboard resources in our warehouse right now because our teachers do not feel that they are as rigorous as what they do with our students. And then the formative assessments that they call learning checkpoints, and then the collaborative educator workshops. And this is where educators across the nation come together and talk about the curriculum, the different learning objectives, that kind of thing, and develop lessons. So that's kind of a cool part that they can collaborate not only in the district but outside the district.
Dr. Trammell,
Yes,
quick
sir.
question. So as we're progressing through the presentation, to kind of capture this, the way they're going with pre-AP courses is not what pre-AP, the rigor of what we're accustomed to now. For example, if my daughter is in a pre-AP course now, the rigor of what we're expecting with this course now, this is not the same as far as the direction they're going with it.
Correct.
For the future.
So
Okay.
they are very intentional and have put in writing that these are not considered to be advanced courses. These are courses for all students. So we would need to look at our GPA process when it comes to the pre-AP designated courses, should we choose to offer pre-AP courses. Just because of their designation of the courses and the fact that we will follow their framework and curriculum. We have several options that we've thought of And I will say that I met with, we've been talking about this a few years, and I met with the two comprehensive high school principals and some of their teachers and counselors earlier in January or beginning of February. And there are several options that we have, and I'm not saying that this is a comprehensive list. There could be something that we didn't think of. The curriculum department has also met several times over the last couple of years to talk about this and what some of the options might be. One option would be to just change the pre-AP names to something like advanced. And honors would remain in place across the content areas. So we wouldn't call our courses pre-AP, we would name them advanced. Another option would be to eliminate the three-tiered courses that exist in some of our content areas now. In other words, we have a high school English that is honors. We also have a high school English that is advanced. So we would combine those to make it just advanced. Does that make sense? To get rid of that additional layer. All 5.0 courses would be labeled AP or advanced. So in essence, it wouldn't affect the GPA of students currently taking honors and pre-AP if we named the courses advanced and had our criteria for that 5.0 grade point average. In two-tiered content areas, we would just change honors and pre-AP to a new name, the new name of advanced. Then option 3 would be to pay the pre-AP fee for each campus, or each course, offered for each high school and continue to offer pre-AP courses and use the pre-AP curriculum. So tentatively, those are the three options that we have come up with. There are some additional requirements and information. Submissions for course audits begin this year, so we could, if we chose to be one of the districts that offer pre-AP courses, we would go ahead and start submitting some of our courses for approval. It is important to note that the pre-AP program is aligned to the Common Core. And in the state of Texas, we are not allowed to teach the Common Core. So we would just need to look through their curriculum and make sure that our courses that we submit to their audit are aligned with our Texas essential knowledge and skills. They do not furnish a complete curriculum. However, they do furnish model lessons to go with what they offer. Our next steps in this process would be to develop a committee consisting of high school students, teachers, counselors, and administrators to discuss options. And it could be these three, it could be additional ones that the committee would come up with. We would provide an update to the board and then make final decision regarding our pre-AP status for courses for the implementation in the 2021-22 school year. Our timeline for this would be sometime November, beginning of December. Chrissy has to get the course catalog to print sometime in December. So we have a few months to meet and work on this, but we feel that we need to go ahead and get moving on it now. There was one other thing that I was going to say, and I cannot remember. So, I know what it was. With pre-AP status, it's not like we would say A&M Consolidated High School is a pre-AP campus or College Station High School is a pre-AP campus. You're not allowed to say that. The pre-AP designation is at the course level only. So it would be, we offer pre-AP courses. So we wouldn't be, pre-AP high schools that flow into AP courses. So, and with that, I will take any questions that you have or input.
Is this going to be a uniform decision across the high schools? Or is each high school going to,
This would be a district committee, and it would be a district decision.
So I just want to make sure I understand.
Sure.
So the new pre-AP, if we were to adopt this, is not replacing the current pre-AP. because-
Correct.
Okay, we just have to go with a different name,
Correct.
if that were.
Absolutely.
And a comment, I think, I love that you're going to put a district-wide committee and get multiple stakeholders, because I think this is confusing, right? So if we were to say
Yeah.
it's not the same, right?
It's
We're
not the same.
preparing for advanced placement here, so
Right, exactly.
I'll be interested to see what that committee's, the output is.
Absolutely.
No, I agree. I think that's great that you get a lot of people who understand it and are impacted by it to really discuss it. Do you mind going back to the three options?
Not at all.
So I'm assuming we might not have this in front of us if you, I don't know, which option are y'all leaning to? Or which option do you think, or you really don't know at this
So
point?
we've had discussion, but we haven't even put together the committee.
Committee.
As a curriculum team, we, obviously have opinions, and campus administrators have opinions, but we need to talk to students and teachers and get a bunch of our stakeholders together to have those conversations before we would favor an option. And like I said, they may come up with one that's not even here.
Sure.
So,
I have an opinion on it.
Okay, I like the, I appreciate it.
Not necessarily an opinion. I'm not for anything or any decision associated with this that would require us to do a rework of our grade point system. In other words, shifting grade points around, because when you start messing with grade points, then that's really a 4 or
Yeah.
5 year process, or else you create inequities as far as GPA calculations for anyone taking high school courses. So
it would have to come.
I think we're looking at, if anything, the name advanced, pre-AP, that type of thing, not necessarily a weighting of the class.
So options 1 and 2, though, to follow up on that, I mean, we could proceed with either of those without changing.
Absolutely, right. And the rigor would stay the same. And we would keep our, our current, everything.
Obviously, just
we
thinking
have in
about the
place.
pros and cons of every option. I mean, seems like obviously cons of the option 3 and the pre-AP, not only is it money and some extra work to make it
Suitable for them
Well,
and
yeah, to
for
get it
us,
approved
yeah.
and match what we do, exactly.
The financial part's pretty minimal. Or what is it?
It is
Roughly?
around $36,000 per campus,
Per year.
per year, correct.
So-
It's $3,000 per course, per campus.
Okay, so we're talking of $60,000, $70,000. Okay. So you got to, I put that up against what's in it for us, and
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I mean, I guess to me, the only worry with going away from it is, are we still going to be prepared for our kids going to be prepared for their AP classes?
Absolutely.
And it sounds like you're saying that rigor we already have is not going to.
Be affected.
Going to
The
change.
original group that I got together, and I let the high school principals choose, a few people that they wanted to come. That was their feeling. I don't know what the committee's feeling is going to be, but they felt strongly that our curriculum and coursework in our pre-AP classes would be much more rigorous than what is being offered by the new pre-AP. And I think we have a teacher who actually works with the College Board, and she indicated that the rigor would not be the same.
Although I will say the one thing I did like about what they said about it was the deeper dive into topics. But I mean, we're always trying to, I think, trying to balance that with letting kids have the opportunity to dive deep into topics and really delve into them instead of just having too much
Surface
breadth.
or-
So it's
yeah.
always a balance.
Right, but at the same time, I think I heard that other topics would be eliminated, right?
Well, we don't know for sure.
But it said areas of focus. I think that's probably what Ms. Nolan is referring to.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I'm assuming that's what you're saying, Geraldine.
It is. So did you say why this came about? Do we know?
The College Board just wanted to establish a pathway for all kids, which is why they feel passionately on the open enrollment. Every student can, they want every single student to participate. So this is their initiative to go with their vision.
Okay, do we have a lot of guidelines for our AP courses? Do we have something set in place?
We do have guidelines for our AP courses.
Okay. I still find it really confusing. I'm still trying to figure it out.
It's going to be interesting long-term. This is years out as the college boards make this adjustment with pre-AP, with the curriculum or the rigor, and then how that plays out as students advance to the AP course level and take the AP test, and how do they score. That's going to be an interesting implication.
For sure.
And that's something that you won't see for several years, though.
Right, that would kind of be the question. If they're changing the pre-AP, are they also making the associated changes to the AP? If not, it seems to be a kind of a disconnect in my mind. So that's what you're
correct.
saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
I guess one other last little question on this, like option 2, or kind of the 3-tiered. How many of these 3-tiered classes actually are there? You mentioned just English, and I think you said a couple of social studies. How many would be affected with that?
Yeah, let me see if I've got that document. I have a document that I thought I had linked in here, but for some reason the link is gone. It was under steps, where the curriculum department has put together all the honors courses we offer, all the pre-AP courses that we offer, and combine them to say it's like a total of 32 courses that are honors and pre-AP. Some of them are just honors and not pre-AP. Some of them are pre-AP and not honors. So if we offered some kind of something advanced for all of those, it would be 32 courses.
But the ones that actually have 3 tiers, I can only think of.
English and social studies, I
Yeah,
think.
and only a few.
So English 1, it would
English
be
1 and
the
English 2.
advanced and the honors in those areas, right? It's very few, very few. Sorry, that's gone. I can get that to you.
They only, like biology only has on-level and pre-AP at the same year for for
Right.
freshmen. And then later they have
it
AP.
was
So I
just
really
right.
think it's only, after I started thinking about it, I can only think of a handful. That's what I was trying to.
Yeah, we don't have many. There aren't many
That
at
are
all.
3-tier.
Yeah,
Thanks.
it's not
So,
linked.
Dr. Trammell, so you'll start working with the committee of stakeholders, and we'll follow up with this conversation and their feedback for the
Right,
next
so we'll-
several months during the workshop.
Absolutely.
So that if we get to a particular place and would like to make a recommendation of any adjustment with this to the board, we will have given them several months of feedback from our stakeholder group.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. All right.
Can I add one more quick thing? Sorry, I was just looking at the next steps. Is it maybe think about adding parents to the committee possibly? I mean, I guess a lot of, these are high school kids, so maybe they can represent somewhat the voice of the
Right.
parents. But
Absolutely, we can
you thought about
absolutely
it.
consider that. A lot of times, changes like this would go through the District Education Improvement Council, and we have
Parents on
obviously
that.
parents on that, so yeah.
That's great, thank you.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much. We will circle back around to action item 1, consideration, discussion, and possible action related to setting a date for the next management oversight workshop. And the topic this time will be on transportation. Mr. Martindale.
Thank you, Mr. Schaefer. As the board is aware, each semester we provide a management oversight workshop from various departments within our operations side of the district. The one scheduled for this fall is transportation. Did provide some, actually a week of possible dates for the oversight workshop. So if everybody has their calendar and we kind of take a look, and see what would work for the group. We have historically handled these between like 11 and 1 or 12 and 2 in the afternoon and did lunch with it. And so it'll be a couple hours long. Mr. Silva will provide the information associated with that oversight meeting. So we put a few dates in transmittal this past week. I don't know if any dates within that week, that last week of October, works for the group or not. So I'll stop, and if someone sees a day that works for them, then maybe we can start from there and kind of go around the table and see what we can get scheduled up.
Who would like to throw out a date?
Well, you would put out the 26th, 27th, 28th, and 29th, right?
Yes, ma'am.
I could do 26th, 27th, 28th. 29th I'd prefer not to.
How about the 27th?
26th is my best day. I don't know if that
Okay.
works.
26th?
But what day did you just say you couldn't, Kimberly?
The Thursday,
Thursday, okay.
rather. Cross-country meet.
Do we know what, specifically, what, would we think 11, 12?
11 to 1?
I can make that work. Yep.
Mondays, can everybody do Monday? Oh, that is really tough. I will make it happen.
You can make it? Jeff?
Okay. I'm good that day as well.
So we are,
Mr. R and Mr. Nugent?
It's,
We get you there.
you're twisting it off, but I'll do it.
Is that the best time, 11 to 1?
I mean,
we are talking transportation, so maybe we could help you.
what's that even mean?
So I hear Monday, October 26th. We're looking 11 to 1 o'clock, working lunch. That works for the group?
Are we doing it here at Transportation Center or to be determined?
Probably out there.
Probably, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was just thinking out loud, probably out there. Didn't we, I think we did.
I think we did it last time out there.
There last time, so let me check with Mr. Silva, see what he's got going, and I will finalize a location.
I need to see what our recording.
Oh.
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 Before we get too excited about it.
On a field trip?
Yeah.
It's always good to see those buses, so.
It is.
Okay, so we have, again, Monday, October 26th, 11 to 1 o'clock. So we'll get that scheduled, I'll put it in transmittal and give you guys a reminder. Of course, we have another regular meeting prior to that, so,
Mr. Ben, you're good?
all right?
Okay.
Good? All right. Thank you, Mr. Schaefer.
Okay. Y'all trying to keep me on my toes. So now, let's see what, so we did 2, 3, 1, so that means we get to go to 4. Okay. Item 4, consideration and discussion regarding House Bill 3, required board goals and plans. Mr. Martindale.
So we had Dr. Conley come visit with us from Region 6. I believe that was last week.
I'll be back.
And Dr. Trammell visited with the group a little bit about this probably way back in June, if not prior to that. Adopting or evaluating student performance goals and that information and setting those values required by House Bill 3. Originally, our plan was to come with some values today and then look for approval at the regular meeting. Not really a rush on this. The original deadline was September due to COVID and changes with TEA. The deadline for this to be handled has been pushed to January.
Right.
So we're not in a huge rush. So we're going to do this as a discussion and feedback item today, see where that gets us, and then we can look at a board meeting further down the road to wrap this up with the particular recommendation. So,
Okay.
Dr. Trammell?
All right. So we thought that we might just kind of layer after last week's training and do a little more explanation about where the numbers are actually coming from. So just a quick reminder, the state wants 60% of our graduates to be college ready, career ready, or military ready. And they want all third graders to score meets on the STAAR exam. The board's role in this would be to vote and adopt each plan, not only the district plan, but the plans for our campuses as well. Specifically, the plans are in the areas of math and reading at the early childhood level, and then career college and military ready at the high school level. When we look at the requirements of the plan, there has to be a district administrator or a regional person kind of coordinating everything. The goals must be specific and quantifiable and 4 or 5 years. They must be reviewed at least annually by the board, and we must post the annual report on the district and the campus websites. And I know y'all have heard that, but just a reminder. So as we look at where did we get the numbers to set these goals for our district, we know that STAAR has 4 different levels: masters, meets, approaches, and then of course the does not meet. In this case, the state is wanting everybody to be right here at this meets level. When we look at our performance as compared to the state, we have obviously more students at the approaches level than the state, more students at the meets level, and more students at the master's level. So we are above the state average at all 3 levels. When we narrow back into that meets that the state wants every third grader to score at, we are at 51% and the state is at 45%. So in order to set our district goal, we took this 51%, and that is where we started, and that is where the quantifiable part of our goal comes into play. So we are moving from 51% to 56%. Remember, the state wants this by 2030. So this is our first 5-year plan. We can adapt it each year as we report to you all and look at the achievement of our students. Obviously, we want every child to be successful. So that is just a little bit of an explanation about where that 51 starting percentage came from. We also know that the state wants us to look at each group of students within that whole district percentage, because many times some of these students are masked. We can't really see that they are not performing as well as some of the other groups. In this case, I put a little handout on your at the back of your packet on your table, and if you look, this is the state's current targets for closing the gaps. So what that means is Domain 3 on STAAR is all about closing the gaps between different groups of students. These are their targets this year, or the 2018-19 year. So if you look across the way, reading is on the top row and math is on the second row. I gave you this for a reason, and I'll show you on the next slide. But I did want to just take kind of a little bit of a bird walk and show you on our taper report, this is what that Domain 3 looks like. Oh, well, I guess I won't. I'm not sure what happened here. But right here, the state will give us a Y. Well, it's not going to stay up. The state will give us a Y for yes, we met that target, or an N for no, we did not meet that target. And this is online on our taper report if you want to review that. So I gave you this so that you would have something to look at while we look at our percentages of where we are starting, okay? So right away, we look at our first group of students, the African American group. The state's target is 32%. We are currently at 17%. So that's where we started on our goal that we set for this group. If you look down, we go all the way to 2024, and by 2024, we're getting closer. We're not quite there yet. Obviously, we hope for larger gains than this. This is a pretty conservative chart because of the disruption to learning this past spring, because of us, having two different learning models and trying to do the best we can at both and improve both as each day goes along. So we were very conservative in our increases to start, and then we got a little more aggressive as we get down closer to 2024. Obviously, if this continues, the state is going to have us set another 5-year track, and we would absolutely expect to be where their targets are at that point. It is important to note that these targets are figured through some kind of statistical formula that is beyond me. It's in the 60-page manual for STAAR, but they would change slightly depending on the performance of all the students across the state each year. So in the Hispanic group, we are above the target. In the white group, we are above the target. In the American Indian group, we are 1 point below the target. In our Asian group, we are above the target. 2 or more races, we are, this is reading. 2 or more races, we are below the target. And economically disadvantaged, we are below the target. So we've got some work to do on closing the achievement gaps with some of the different groups of students in the area of reading. One of the things that we're doing that you'll notice is in every single campus plan is we have started the literacy academies. We chose to, instead of hiring someone and doing that in-house this year, just because of the state of where we are, we chose to go through Region 6 for a cohort. We have about 43 going through the literacy academies at this time across all of our elementaries. So we feel like that will absolutely help with some of these gaps that we are seeing in some of these groups in reading. A reminder that the state also requires us to progress monitor these groups. So it's not like we set this and then a year from now we come back and go, oh, well, here's where we are. We are monitoring consistently throughout the year. So for monitoring, the state recommended the Circle beginning of year exam for pre-K, and that is what we've used. You will notice that we are already pretty high in that area with our pre-K students. So we've been fairly conservative with where we want to go. If we go above and beyond that, that's awesome, but we're already at a pretty strong clip in our pre-K area. In kindergarten, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade, we chose to go with the MAP assessment. One reason for that is we didn't want to give more assessments. We wanted to do, if we could use something we're already doing, we felt like that would be the best choice. We also know that MAP is aligned and a predictor of success on STAAR. So there's some connection there that can really makes this a great progress monitoring tool. So at kindergarten, we're using MAP, and at 1st through 3rd grade, we're using MAP. And then, of course, for the ultimate district goal, it would be the 3rd grade reading scores on STAAR. Okay. Then it's kind of a repeat for math. Your second column is math.
Before you move to math, you want to just give them a second in case there's any questions
Sure,
on the
yeah.
literacy piece?
Any questions about the literacy right now?
Penny, go back 2 slides,
Sure.
please. So that's us.
That's us.
This is the state.
That is the state, right.
Okay.
And just to clarify, you said, is this state, you called it targets, is it state actuals or it's targets for, when do they want us to meet these targets?
This is the targets for this year, and they change based on the mathematics of performance across the state each year. So this is an indicator that we've got groups. This is helping us just identify some of those groups that we want to target.
So it was an 18, 19, as you said,
Correct.
target that would line up with our 19
Absolutely.
results.
So they're going to will they stay the same or are they going to readjust them?
They will adjust every year depending on how the students across the state do on the STAAR test.
But if we're not having the STAAR test, you think they'll redo them or will they go back to where we were?
I would think they would stay static.
Okay.
Because there's no mathematics, no data to change them. And really, the purpose of using this, it just helps us identify the groups that are the most in need of help. Any
Thank you.
other
Thank you.
questions? Okay. Kind of a repeat then on the math. The bottom column on this, and again, I gave this just as an anchor so you could compare as we go along. If you look at College Station ISD and the state, we are above on students that scored in the approaches area. We are above in the number of students that score in the meets category, and we are above the state and the number of students that score in the master's category. Honing in on this meets right here in the middle, which is where the state is asking us to write goals, we see that the state is at 49%, we are at 59%. So we started our math goal at 59%. So again, we have been very conservative. We anticipate some regression in the learning of our students, so we may have a little bit to catch up this year. So, but essentially in 2024, we would be at the 61% goal. And then, as I said, that's, already where the state is wanting everyone to be, but we would probably set additional goals if they require it to 2030. As we look at our different groups of students in the math area, we will see some of the same groups, which is very good information for us to look at as far as curriculum and how we are instructing students in the classroom and the kinds of activities that we're doing. Are we meeting all the learning styles? Are, lots to think about and work on there. If we look at the African American group, we are at 22, and you'll see the target for this year was 31. We're above in the Hispanic and the white group. If you look at the American Indian group, we are at 33, and the target was 45. We are above in Asian, Pacific Islander, 2 or more races, special education, and if you look at the economically disadvantaged group, that would be another group we need to be highly aware of as we are designing learning in the classrooms. And then our non-continuously enrolled students. So we're just, 1 point off here on the economically disadvantaged, but still the pattern tells us what we need to work on.
Penny, if our scores go up and as far as ethnicity, a student can be coded to more than one of these.
Absolutely.
Okay.
A student could be coded in multiple ethnic categories. It depends on how their parents fill out their registration paperwork.
So
Can you explain the non-continuous enrolled?
Okay, Molly, correct me
Or
on
give me a
this,
couple
but I think it's students that haven't been in our district for a certain amount of time. They come and go. They are tracked by the state. I believe that's it, so.
Okay.
For 3 years.
Okay. And I was just going to follow up on they were saying about the multiple categories. So even specifically for race, like you could have, for instance, 2 or more races and
If the parent
Asian,
chooses
or-
to mark, Hispanic and Asian or,
No, it's one race, and then it could be economically disadvantaged. The
two,
point being
okay.
is, yes, so for example, if a student in a particular race, that category goes up, then obviously if they're also coded as economically disadvantaged.
that would go up.
Yes.
That might be,
capacity there.
yeah.
That
Okay,
was
well,
my
so
point.
I
Only-
stated
They're
that.
uncoded to one ethnicity.
They have a
including the
primary.
2 or more races? One
That would
bucket,
count as
its own distinct bucket. Yeah, okay, thank you.
Sorry, misstated on that. Okay. Again, the same progress monitoring measures. We'll use the circle test at the pre-K level and MAP for kindergarten through 3rd grade. And so these numbers came straight from our MAP data. Okay, just let y'all look at that. Any questions about math? Okay. The next part of the goal setting was for career, college, and military ready at the high school level. And there are several ways that you can be considered career, college, and military ready. These are the ways that the state has cited on their website. The TSI, the Texas Success Initiative test, or the SAT, ACT, TSIA, any of those tests, if you pass those tests or make a certain score, you would be considered college ready. Dual credit courses, if you have 3 hours in reading or math, or 9 hours in any subject, you would be considered college ready. Meet criteria of a 3 or more on advanced placement examination, and earn associate's degree prior to high school graduation. Complete an on-ramps dual enrollment course. We don't offer that here, but the state does accept that course as being college ready if you take and pass that. Earn a state-approved industry-based certification, and that would be through our CTE program. Graduate with completed individualized education program and workforce readiness. So it's a combination of meeting your IEP and workforce ready, and your ARD committee would be a part of that determination. CTE cohort sequence, coherent sequence with the coursework aligned to industry-based certifications. And what this means is I don't take floral design 1 year and construction another year and have this diverse group of experiences. The state is saying students need to stay on a track to get their certifications and be considered career ready. And then enlist in the armed forces or graduate under an advanced degree plan and be identified as a current special education student, or earn a level 1 or a level 2 certificate, and that would be through CTE as well. So, and that would be workforce ready. So college ready, you see the criteria. Workforce ready, CTE weighs in heavily on that, and then military ready. If we look at our CCMR data from our TAPER report, we will see that we are already above the state averages. And there's a little bit of a delay in this data because if a student graduates, they have until the fall to be enrolled, the state actually in college. So the state actually tracks that. Their military, if enrollment or sign up, their certification. Some of our seniors don't take those certification exams until after they graduate. So there's even a stipulation of to be college, you have to be enrolled in college and in a seat for, I think it's 15 days, and then they will certify you as college ready or whatever. So all of that data is assimilated in the fall, and then it's put together, and we get our final numbers in December. So it's a bit of a delay. Again, we've written the goal according to the criteria. We are at 72%, and we are anticipating to grow to 74% by August 2024. They also require us to look at these groups of students, and you will see where we are with each group of students. So this top row is showing our current TAPER information. There are no targets for this. So I didn't have targets to give you to compare our performance to. But as you can see, we're performing pretty strong in most all of the groups. There are a couple of groups, there are a couple of groups that are a little bit lower than we would like. And so we will work on addressing those. Our ELs, which is our English learners, maybe our African American, just paying special attention to these kids to make sure we're taking care of them and ensuring they are career or college or military ready. So, any questions about this? Because we have progress monitoring measures for this as well. The first one is for college ready. And again, this is pulled from our TAPER report. The second one is our career ready. So we track our certificates in CTE. How many completers are we having? Our kids, taking a coherent sequence in the CTE area. And then military ready. And we don't have a lot of students who choose to go into the military here. Most of our students go to college, and then some of them graduate and have a career right away.
Is that economically disadvantaged group, is that determined by free and reduced lunch also?
It is. That's the only criteria.
Okay.
So, any questions about CCMR? It's the same, it's the same pattern. We're using the same report and the same numbers.
I was just curious on the jump from 2017 to 18 for us and the state. Do we know what that's attributed to? Is it because this was a new metric? Is that?
It is possible. Molly is nodding her head yes, and she was our former director of assessment. So, they've changed the accountability system. It's very difficult to keep up with their most current mathematical,
Let's go in the right direction.
statistics. Yeah. So, okay. And with that, just a reminder that all of this does need to be on the website. It's public information. And so we have that just listed here for reference. And then the last thing is a monitoring calendar. And this is part of what you would adopt and part of what would go on our website. So we are, based on our Dr. Conley's workshop last week, we talked to him about this, and this is what he recommended. Our beginning of year information, we would put in transmittal, and you can see the schools and the months. We can change that to all of the schools. It would be data overload for you all, but if you would like that is an option. But over a 3-month period, we would share our beginning of year information on student performance. And then you'll notice in September, we would be giving our beginning of year measure MAP report to you all. There is some
And Penny,
training.
I think it's make sure I understand, we're adopting, this calendar will go into effect 21-22. Is that correct?
This calendar goes into effect.
So
We would just pick up wherever we adopt it.
In your annual review, though, it's going to be your taper based on 2019 values.
Correct.
So the values you see the first go around are probably going to be, they're going to be the same as already been reported because
we don't
there are
have
no
any.
STAAR.
Right. Yes.
Okay.
That's correct. And then because of the delay in the taper report, the annual review would be in December. Once we have all the data in and have the final numbers, we would at that time want to report those to you all. So the only thing really required is the annual report, but the progress monitoring is mandated as part of the initiative, and we have that data, and it will help you kind of stay in the swing of where we are with things if we share this with you all. And then we go on through the rest of the year. So pretty much, almost every month, we would be reporting beginning of the year data, middle of the year data, or end of the year data for each of our campuses. And then the final progress towards goals, we would report preliminary data to you all in July. We wouldn't have the final data until December, but the preliminary data we feel that would be helpful for you all to know as we start the new year and consider any changes that we may want to make in our goals. We thought it would be a good idea to give you a report in July.
So the only month that doesn't have anything would be August, right? Is that correct?
Correct. Let me go back. And that's just training.
Okay.
That's just, yeah. Any questions about the calendar?
I kind of like how it's spread out so you can digest it from, instead of getting it all at one time.
So you're saying the stuff that we would get on the, like in transmittal, almost monthly, is more the 3 checkpoint, the MAP scores and...
So probably what that would look like is a graph, so you could just see the trend. And if you ask for the raw numbers, we could give you that.
Okay. And then, so I'm looking then at the September is when we would, as a board, look at the beginning of the year MAP score.
Correct.
Although we're not doing that now, so maybe, when are they actually ready? I mean, they're taking
they're
these
still
tests.
taking it
Right, they're
right
taking
now.
them September, so we're
Yeah.
probably going to be looking at them.
Right.
soon.
So we could begin reporting on this. Now, if you don't adopt these goals until whenever, we'll start wherever you adopt them.
So we get a beginning of the year map and an end of the year map, really, to see how the progress was
Right,
each year.
exactly.
Okay, I like that.
All right. Any questions?
No, but I have comments.
Comments? Yes.
Honestly, I think it's a topic I've kind of wanted to share some comments with for a while, so I think it's the right place to do it. Obviously, our state cares about accountability, and I think we have to care about accountability, and I certainly do. And the question is, what is the right thing, what's the right way to hold ourselves as a district accountable? And I am certainly glad that we do more than test scores, right? That we do community-based accountability, and hoping to be able to make progress on that soon. I know there seems to always be something that, that diverts our attention. That said, though, I also think it's important for us to understand and do well on some of these metrics also. I mean, the STAAR test has gotten a bad rap in many ways, and it has some bad things. Like when we hold I think when we hold an individual student, and judge them on this one-day test, I think that's too far. But you even said the word, when you look at trends, when you look at patterns, I mean, we have 14,000 students. We have enough data to see trends. And I think it's important for us as a district, if we really want to improve, is to look at those, put them out there, talk about them. And, so I think that's the first step towards any improvement, is saying, we have some, whether we call them achievement gaps or opportunity gaps is the new term, but we do have some gaps. And it's not really, shouldn't be, for anybody who's been looking at this, it should not be that surprising of numbers, because we've had them for a while. They are trends now. And that's the part that really kind of gets me, is when I see it and I think, what are we going to do different to try to change some of those numbers so we really are serving every single kid in our district and lifting them up to the levels of every kid we have in College Station. And, you've all heard the Einstein, or it's attributed to Einstein, the insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. I think we have to do something different. I think we really have to ask ourselves if we are willing and to try to do something different, if that's important to us. It's important to me. I hate seeing those numbers every year, and I think we should make it a priority. And I hope we can continue to make we really can make some progress on those, even in these difficult times.
Absolutely. Right.
There's my speech. Thank you.
It was. And we are excited to move forward and make some progress this year on our community-based accountability system. But this is a piece of it, and you can't ignore you have to look at all the pieces. So, all right. Any other comments or questions? I'm happy to answer. Thank you.
So Penny, let's think timeline on this item. So we probably have this workshop just to look at this one more time next month. And if you have questions on any of the values between now and October, please let us know so maybe we can answer those questions. And we'll handle it much like a policy update. We'll have it on workshop in case there's any cleanup items. And then we'll look for approval at the regular meeting in October with these data points that you've shown us tonight.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. This is not
Actually,
letting me-
can I ask one question on that kind of
Sure.
the plan? So obviously, I want to do this because it's the right thing to make these numbers better, but also what happens if we don't meet the goals? What is the state, what is the state saying?
I think that, you all hold us accountable, right? And so we report to you and we report modifications or accommodations or how we're changing what we're doing to try to reach these groups of students. We do not know. It's like Dr. Conley said last week, the state may do away with this. We feel it's important to know this and to work on this, regardless of if the state does away with this. So we just don't know. The answer to that is they haven't said.
Okay. So I guess in those lines, since we aren't going to have data, it almost becomes more important that we really, use our map and our
Absolutely.
own internal metrics to help make progress.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
The map has served to be it was off to an excellent start last year. Of course, we got disrupted at the end, but our principals are doing a wonderful job of taking the data on the beginning of the year, the mid, and addressing instruction. And Molly and Penny visit every campus through the course of the year to review that progress monitoring, those data points with MAP after kids take them, and have conversations with principals about instruction and how to improve instruction and performance of where kids are trending in the particular MAP assessment. So it was serving to be an excellent tool last year, and it will continue to be one as far as making instructional decisions.
Just a reminder real quick, when you get this linked in Transmittal, each campus is at the bottom. So there's a tab for each campus, and you can look at the campus and see the campus's overall goal, kind of like we have a district goal. Each campus has that as well. And then each campus also has their groups of students. Now you'll see a lot of dashes. That just means there aren't enough students in that group to report that information. So I just wanted to bring your attention to that. So as you look through, you can look at the different groups for each campus. And then at the bottom, the campus kind of has a little bit of a plan about how they intend to address some of the gaps. Okay? So that's all. All right. All right. Thank you.
Even more so, I think, well, we take those in baby steps each month. That's a lot of data. If there's no further questions, we will adjourn and start our regular meeting at 7 p.m. sharp.